Hello, Sofa Squad. How are you doing? I'm doing pretty good here, as you can see by me. It was a very rainy evening. And today, the time of filming is Tuesday, August 6th. And we are going to be jumping into another live trial. This one, y'all, it has so many twists and turns to it, I can't even tell you. So what I wanted to do with this video was to do a quick overview of the entire case. Again, I always say this is not the end-all, be-all to this case. I urge you to go down the rabbit hole yourself if you're interested. But one of the final people involved in this case is going up for trial now. This is in Knoxville, Tennessee. And so we're going to be following it here in the Sofa Squad, and I want us to all be on the same page, so I'm making this video. And with that being said, without further ado, let's review. Now, the case that we're going to be following is the Eric Boyd trial. And like I said, this is an overview. This is not the end-all, be-all to all the information in this case. This has been going on for 12 years. We have had retrials, judges thrown off, disbarred, you name it, it's happened in this. And so, like I said, we're just going to go briefly over some information here so that we're kind of all on the same page as to how we arrived at the trial that is starting here today. So let's start with the night of the crime and the victims. Shannon Gail Christian, age 21, and Hugh Christopher Newsom Jr., age 23. Now, they were from Knoxville, Tennessee. And essentially, in a nutshell, what happened is they were kidnapped in the evening of January 6, 2007. When Christensen's vehicle was carjacked, they were taken to a rental house, tortured, raped, killed. It was a horrible, horrible death, each of them separately. And it was one of the most awful ways you can think to go. Extremely heinous. Now, Newsom's body was discovered near a set of nearby railroad tracks. He had been bound, blindfolded, gagged, stripped naked from the waist down. He'd been shot in the back of the head, neck, back, and his body had been set on fire. He was also sodomized with an object and raped by a person. And the medical examiner said that Christian died after hours of torture, multiple rapes, barbaric traumatic brain injury. Bleach had been poured down her throat to attempt to hide DNA evidence. Her body was scrubbed with bleach. All of this was while she was alive. Now, she had been bound with curtains and strips of bedding, her face covered with a trash bag, her body stashed in 5 larger trash bags, and then they put her into a residential waste garbage can, basically, and she suffocated slowly but surely in there, and that's where her body was found by police. So there was no humanity in these crimes, y'all. I mean, these were sick. So let's talk very quickly about the perpetrators in this, because this is kind of important, because some of these people will be, or one of them is going to be playing a role in most likely why we're seeing this final person going up for these charges. So we're going to start with George Giovanni Detroit Thomas. He was born in 1983. He faced a total of 46 charges, and he was indicted on 16 counts of felony murder related to the rape, robbery, kidnapping, and theft of Christian and Newsom, 2 counts of premeditated murder, 2 counts of especially aggravated robbery, 4 counts of especially aggravated kidnapping, 20 counts of aggravated rape, and 2 counts of theft. I mean, just banged up from top to bottom, as he should be. The next person, Darnell Rome Cobbins, he faced the same 46 charges. He was also charged with assaulting a correctional officer while incarcerated pending trial. Now, previously, Davidson had just, on August 5th, 2006, completed a 5-year sentence in Tennessee on a previous felony conviction for carjacking and aggravated robbery. Vanessa Coleman, she was arrested by the Lebanon Police Department in Lebanon, Kentucky, and she faced 40 Tennessee state charges. Coleman was indicted on 12 counts of felony murder related to the rape, robbery, kidnapping, and theft of Christian and Newsom, 1 count of premeditated murder of Christian only, 1 count of especially aggravated robbery of Newsom only, 4 counts of especially aggravated kidnapping, 20 counts of aggravated rape, and 2 counts of theft. So, tons of charges against these people. Okay, so Mr. Boyd, that's who's going up against the charges now, the trial we're going to watch. He was arrested in connection with the carjacking. Now, he was not indicted by the Knox County grand jury. He faced charges as an accessory after the fact for helping the suspects evade the police, essentially. Now, on that note, let's go ahead and talk about why he is now standing trial, because some of this is going to be very interesting. Okay, so like I said, Boyd was already in federal prison for hiding out the convicted ringleader, Davidson, in this case. And he says that he wasn't there when Newsom and Christian were attacked and slain. Okay, so George Thomas is locked away too. Even though no DNA evidence tied him to any of the crimes committed against the couple, he did admit that he was there at the house when the savagery took place. And so he is listed as a witness for the prosecutors in the case that's going up against Boyd. And no one, including the defense attorney, will say if Thomas has been offered a deal and, you know, what it is or anything. They're being very tight-lipped about this. So my guess on it is that he is speaking out and tying Boyd into it. They had another deal with somebody else involved in this to testify against Boyd at one point, and it fell through. So the parents of the victims have been very adamant. They made a promise: we will be at every court case of these people. They have been going through this for 12 years, listening to this. And in a second, when I get into the retrials and stuff, you're going to be like, oh my gosh. So a lot of what's going up against Boyd is they've been able to get these charges, and the parents urging the state to bring these charges against him. So my guess is that this guy is going to testify. Now, if there's a deal or whatever, we'll probably find that out, obviously. I can't imagine that he would testify just to testify, you know, because essentially, you know, it's never looked upon as well as being a snitch or a rat in jail. And so, you know, I can't imagine he would just go and do this. You know, I'm sure there's some kind of factor playing there, but we'll find out. So, like I said before, you know, Boyd is going to be the 8th trial so far that's taken place with this crime in general. And each of the assailants were tried separately so far, and 2 of them, Coleman and Thomas, they wound up tried a second time after the judge presiding over the original cases got into some legal troubles himself. So let's talk about how some of those appeals and retrials went. So the defendants in the state cases, so basically everybody except for Mr. Boyd, they all appealed their convictions. And during this time, the sentencing judge, Richard Baumgartner, I'm probably butchering that, he was one of Knox County's 3 criminal court judges. He was forced to resign from the bench in March of 2011. Now, he admitted to being addicted to drugs and to purchasing prescription pain medication from convicts. He was also accused by a woman of trading legal favors for sex during breaks in court sessions. So it wasn't a good look for him. It was not a good look at all. So these actions were held to have impaired his ability to conduct trials during his final 2 years in the bench and compromised all the trials held during this time. And I mean, obviously, as it rightfully should. I mean, can you imagine finding out that your judge was doing stuff like this? I mean, please. Do you know how many people got retrials out of this? I mean, it's just insane. So because of his actions, this helped the people in this case get some new trials. Now, regardless of that, so one of these people is on death row. One of them is like life without parole. The only one that could probably see the light of day is Vanessa, the female, and she ended up getting her charges dropped down to like 35 years or something, so it's like, it's still a long time. I think her earliest release date is like 2042, which is about the same time as, what's his name, Mr. Rosenbaum, so we'll see. So there's that. So that is, I'm going to go ahead and kind of wrap this video up here. Like I said, this is a short synopsis of this. Honestly, I mean, if you thought that some of what you heard here about the crime and stuff is heinous, I mean, I'm leaving out a lot of details just because I feel like, you know, if you want to learn about those, that's totally cool. I mean, I've read them, but I invite you to go look up, you know, a YouTube video or a Google article, because it's, you know, some people don't want to hear that because they are heinous. There is an account on YouTube. One of the gentlemen here testified on his behalf in one of the previous trials and told his version of the story. The thing about that is, and it's grotesque to listen to what happened that night, But what has essentially happened, and another reason why Boyd is up here and the parents, want to get justice, is because everyone in this case downplayed their part in it and pointed a finger at the next person. So nobody's, somehow these people ended up tortured and all this stuff, but no one did it, and it was them, and this person was really in charge. So basically what the police had to do is put everything together and say, well, we found this guy's DNA evidence on these body parts of the girl, so you can piece the story together of what happened type situation. So, and that's where, like I said, it's not good. And so basically Boyd, one of the little tidbits that was interesting is, because it's a little bit odd to find out that the guy was raped too. This is, usually it's kind of odd for this crime. So Eric Boyd allegedly was found to have had male porn on his phone. So, I'm not trying to say anything, but maybe this could be like why they're like all of a sudden now like, oh, look, we have the evidence to say he was the one that, raped the guy, and also apparently he was sodomized with an object or something. So again, it's very heinous. Check it out if you want to. A lot of this stuff is probably going to come out in trial, so major trigger warning for the trial. Again, it's starting today, Tuesday, August 6th. They picked the jury. That did not take as long as they thought. They're anticipating this to last about 2 weeks probably. So we're going to follow it here on the Sofa Squad. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you want to follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the links are down there. Also, we have a new podcast. It has different information than these videos do. It's free, so feel free to check it out. There's tons of descriptions down there, so check those out down there. And that's it. I appreciate y'all, and hey, I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.